we were going to talk about, and we will, about HBO Max arriving on Amazon Fire, because we've been beating that drum for a while, why HBO Max was missing off of Roku and Amazon Fire. But the story that's usurped that came out just a couple hours ago. It's a lot of reports. I don't think there's been an official word from HBO on the matter, but Wonder Woman 1984 is coming to HBO Max in conjunction with a theatrical release on Christmas Day. Now, early reports say that this movie, Wonder Woman 1984, will be available for a month at no additional cost. So I assume Christmas to January 25th. You'll be able to watch it in the comfort of your own home, and it will be in theaters as well. So what do you guys want to tackle first? I'm throwing it over to you. You want to talk about HBO Max going to Amazon Fire, or you want to talk about Wonder Woman?
Let's just start with Wonder Woman. We'll lead with Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
We'll lead with the hot chick.
Indeed. As expected. This is a pretty big story. I mean, especially since... just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the rumors that No Time to Die was being shopped to streaming services. And now we finally got another big movie that is going to streaming. I mean, we had Mulan, but, to Disney Plus, which was big, which was very big. But there was also a surcharge added to that. So it's even more curious now. They're not tacking on any additional fee for this movie. It's just going to be readily available to stream on HBO Max. And I'll tell you right now, the enemy of the multiplex is going to be seeing how this thing not only performs in terms of views, but also does it encourage HBO Max subscriptions. That's another thing, too. If HBO makes good out of this, and so does Warner, I believe, is Wonder Woman, I believe. Yeah. Yes, Warner. If Warner makes out good with it, then this is going to be a new model that we're trending to, especially in a time in America, most of this country at least, where movie theaters aren't closed. Movie theaters are closed. Movie theaters will close in Illinois, our state, on Friday once again, amid the COVID-19 pandemic, which is going on longer than a marriage at this point. But This is a troubling thing for theaters, but a win for the consumers. That's kind of where I'm at with it. But I think there's a lot of people, and I even saw the early response to this on Twitter, is a lot of people really, really want to see this in theaters. But they're at a crossroads now between the fact of, like, it's not the safest thing to go to a movie theater right now, and they want to see it, and they want to keep the hometown theaters alive and the movie theaters alive. So it's kind of a messy situation. Joe, your first thoughts when I messaged you guys a couple hours before the show that Wonder Woman 1984 is indeed going to HBO.
So when Steve initially messaged it, I typed in all caps, "Yo!" because I was really shocked by actually seeing this, because I was just expecting for the rest of the year we just got Soul to look forward to, and that's it. But no, now we have Wonder Woman 1984, and at first I was excited, but this is something we brought up in our James Bond discussion, and it came back to me when, a minute or two after I processed everything. It does make me worry, because this was a movie that movie theaters were banking on to get people coming back to theaters. Mulan was another one, but then that went to Disney Plus early, and now this is another. So it makes me a bit worried that once this is all over, the pandemic that is, what are we going to have left at this point if Wonder Woman succeeds? Because if this turns out to be really good, what's to stop HBO from being like, all right, screw it, Aquaman 2 is going to go to HBO Max, and you know what? The rest of our DC catalog we had lined up, let's just throw on HBO Max at this point. Look how many subscribers we're getting, and they're clicking on the DC stuff. A lot of our DC streaming service stuff that transferred over, like Doom Patrol and all the other stuff that came from their app, is getting more views, and it's benefiting DC way more. Who's to say that, DC studios might just be like, screw it, the rest of our, big budget films, they're going to streaming. Especially when Disney, a few weeks back, was talking about how they're shifting their focus to streaming. Warner Brothers is, basically their competitor, and DC is basically the Marvel competitor, so they might want to get a jump start on that by having Wonder Woman 1984 be the test subject to go in. It'll be their version of Tenet. Let test the waters of streaming devices and see what happens. It makes me very worried about that. I'm excited that we are getting it, though. I'm sure we're going to talk about this now on the show, and that's exciting. and I'm excited. I'm excited about it all. You know, it's a blockbuster film because damn, do I miss watching blockbusters now more than ever. Like before, it used to be like, oh my god, another superhero blockbuster movie coming out this month. Jesus Christ. Now it's just like, oh thank Christ, a blockbuster. It's been so long.
It's really like potato chips, right?
Yeah.
It's like not having potato chips for like 6 months. It's like, oh god, before that I was having potato chips like every 2 days, like a whole bag, and it's like this is horrible for me. And now it's like you open that first bag, even if it's like basic bitch Lay's, it's like, oh my god, yes, I haven't had this in like 6 months, baby. Yes.
Bet you can't eat just one.
Exactly.
Man. But yeah, man, it's exciting news to hear. It is something I would rather see in theaters, and I wish they would have stuck with it, like just waiting until next year when this dies down drastically than the big surge that our country is having right now. But yeah, that's just how I feel about it. Dom, how about you?
This was an excellent move by HBO and honestly Amazon. I'm sure they had a hand in it as well. We'll get the behind the scenes eventually, I'm sure. But I would be very surprised if this wasn't just completely well coordinated. Obviously, you know, Patty Jenkins, I believe, who is the director of these two movies,
yeah,
you know, she put out a very heartwarming tweet about like, quote, "The time has come. At some point, you have to choose to share any love and joy you have to give over everything else." Blah blah blah. And I'm sure I believe her when she says that. But at the end of the day, it's the money. It's the money that drives all this movie, and that's what dominates it. So this is a hot take. This is a hot take. I don't have any information to corroborate this at all, but I think that the decision to pull the trigger on this may have been decided from two things. First and foremost, the rise in cases of COVID, because this third wave, second, I don't know, it's all dumb, but like this huge spike that we're seeing recently is massive. It's as worse as it's ever been. I don't want to get on that train because we do that like every other week here, but it's getting real bad. So I think that, and combined with potentially, hot take, potentially Joe Biden winning the election, it's like the money makers are looking, okay, so this guy actually knows what he's doing. He's probably going to be we know he's going to be pro lock everything down, pro mask, pro everything, pro actual basic common sense. Okay, so that means he's probably going to encourage all the governors to close everything down. So this is going to be like a Trump thing where it's like, okay, we're going to like open half the country on like Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then like on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays we'll open the other half or something. But anyway, so like, okay, we're in this for the long haul. Let's just pull the trigger now with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is the most likely thing that we have in our arsenal for Warner Brothers, at least. And it, you know, it's huge. This is completely coincidence, but like, you know, everyone's talking about Kamala Harris being the first woman vice president. So, you know, Wonder Woman, she's a huge feminist icon or whatever. That one's coincidental, but it's all lining up, and they know that things are, in my personal opinion, even if the vaccine comes out tomorrow and it works 100% and distribution is spot on, this ain't going away until winter of 2021.
Yeah.
So at the very least, for just to survive and make a buck on the side too, the companies are saying, all the production companies are saying, or at least Warner Brothers is saying, okay, bite the bullet on this. We'll look like, you know, we care by saying don't go to theaters. And we'll make a little bank on the way. And you know, if the numbers don't do well, which I'm like half and half. Unlike Tenet, where it's like we knew that wasn't going to do well. Wonder Woman on a half and half, because it might be a huge surge in the popularity of streaming. This is now the but you know, Mulan, Tenet and Mulan were really sacrificial lambs in that sense, as we've talked about before. So
yeah, Mulan was the will they pay for an extra charge on streaming, and then Tenet was will they go back to theaters, and the answer was no to both.
Exactly. So if anything, if Wonder Woman is, I'll close by saying that if Wonder Woman isn't going to be successful by whatever standards, which should be adjusted by now, then it at the very least they can say that it will most likely be successful enough to say, okay, we can blame the virus on this and whatever they need to say to their investors. So that's my hot take.
We will probably tackle this again if we do have any other additional news with it next week, but we will review it. I really got to dick with the schedule again now because we do have to give our top 5 favorite and least favorite films at the start of next year. But we might have to table some of that because at the end of the year, and this is just totally superficial for us, but just so you know, at the end of the year, at the end of next month, we're going to be reviewing Pixar's Soul and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, the new Chadwick Boseman, one of Chadwick Boseman's last movies too. So there's a lot coming out, especially Hillbilly Elegies coming out at the end of this month. It's kind of like it's hard too this year because it's like this is around the time it would be Oscar season. But at the same time, though, it's like now it's all these movies that are coming out with potential awards buzz that are coming out on 8 different platforms trying to keep track of.
Yeah.
And whatnot.